This is the Capital Region's #1 late news. News Channel 13, live Olympic edition.
Tonight's top story, adult entertainers send a message to the city of Schenectady. We're here to stay. Good evening, I'm Chris Compostaci.
And I'm Ed Daig. The city is being sued in federal court as part of an ongoing effort to keep local strip clubs open. Bill Lambdin live in Schenectady with more in the story. Bill?
Well, complaints to the city council haven't worked, nor have news stories. So now the operators of 2 surviving Schenectady strip clubs are going to try the court seeking $16 million against Schenectady. According to this lawsuit, when a man appeared nude on stage at Proctor's, fully frontally nude, it was considered art. But when women take their clothes off at strip clubs, there's a raid. Since Mayor Al Jarzynski took office in January, police and building inspectors have carried out numerous raids against 4 strip clubs. Dancers are accused of violating a strict anti-nudity law, club operators accused of code and zoning violations. 2 of the clubs have shut down. Zorba's owner gave up fighting. The Next Generation lost its liquor license. But Goldfingers and the Toy Box have gone to federal court.
We believe that the laws that he's trying to enforce are unconstitutional.
The $16 million lawsuit against the city, the mayor, and other top officials was filed today. The first Mayor Jarzynski knew of it was when we told him by phone. He agreed to be interviewed, but then backed out on advice of an attorney. But earlier this year, the mayor was quite candid about his intentions.
Would you prefer that they weren't in business?
Trying to bring new business here and trying to bring families here. Yes, it would make that job easier.
And in that interview, Mayor Jarzynski told me that if there was a constitutional issue involved, he said, well, that's up for the courts to decide, but until that is decided, they are going to try to enforce their laws. Ed?
But they will incur considerable expense, I would think, trying to defend this.
There certainly is expense involved. One of the attorneys says he has volunteered, but there is cost on both sides. And, of course, the federal court system frequently takes a long time to grind out justice.
Thank you. Bill Lambdin live in Schenectady. Chris?
Doctors are calling it a miracle. A teenager has won her battle with the so-called flesh-eating disease. 17-year-old Cynthia Waters was surrounded by her family as she appeared before the media today. She had been admitted to Ellis Hospital more than 2 months ago with high fever and in great pain. The often deadly disease is caused by a bacteria that destroys human tissue at a rapid pace. Throughout the painful and risky recovery process, her parents stayed at her side.
Her dad said that she was going to make it.
I never thought she was going to die. I always said, I told them all, I'm taking her home. All the way through the whole thing, I said it. There I am.
Doctors say aggressive treatment and the patient's good health were factors in Cindy's recovery.
The FBI is searching the apartment and the car, actually a pickup, of the prime suspect in the Centennial Park bombing. Richard Jewell voluntarily turned his car keys over to federal agents today. The pickup is now in FBI custody as investigators continue to search for evidence that might link Jewell to the deadly bombing. The AT&T security guard was on duty at the time of the deadly explosion. A spokesperson for the FBI stresses, though, that Jewell has not been arrested or charged with anything at this time.
The welfare system is about to undergo big changes. Today, President Clinton announced he would sign a reform bill that's now making its way through Congress. The bill will end the government's guarantee of cash assistance for children, turning that program over to individual states. Other changes? It cuts benefits by $10 billion a year. The measure also sets work requirements for recipients.
Governor Pataki has given New Yorkers new incentive to join the National Guard. The governor signed a bill into law today that gives Guard members free tuition to New York's public colleges. He's hoping to make the New York National Guard competitive with units in other states.
We can look forward to some sunny skies in the days ahead.
Bob will have his first morning forecast right after a very short break.
This Olympic update on News Channel 13 is sponsored in part by your Upstate Toyota dealer.
Bob with us now, maybe seeing some 90s in our future.
Yes, I believe by late in the weekend, early next week, summer will finally knock on the door. We'll open it. Come on in. Let's talk about the radar tonight. Another round of showers heading on east into Fulton and Montgomery counties, as well as Saratoga County. Showers and storms Herkimer County, also Schoharie County. And again, those showers and storms Heading to the east, it looks like many parts of the area will get wet again this evening. Cloudy, scattered showers overnight, perhaps a storm in some spots, 60 to 65. For tomorrow, mostly cloudy, maybe some breaks of sun with a shower or storm. Temperatures 70 to 75. And we see a big warm-up, maybe culminating in 90-plus weather by Monday. Chris and Ed.
Okay.
Thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Bob. Time now to send you back to Atlanta and the Olympics.
But we'll have another update for you probably in an hour or so, so we hope you'll stay with us. Good night.
This is the Capital Region's #1 late news. News Channel 13, live Olympic edition.
Tonight's top story, a break-in at Troy City Hall leaves lingering concerns. Good evening, I'm Ed Day.
And I'm Chris Compastache. Nothing was taken in the break-in at the controller's office. Carmen Dexter joins us now with more. The obvious question, Carmen. So how did they know someone entered the office?
Well, Chris, someone was tampering with the controller's computer here at Troy City Hall over the weekend, and the reason they know that is because it was found turned on, locked up after someone tried to access a password. The big question now is why. The third-floor office is used by a representative of the state controller who's responsible for helping Troy recover financially. The computer holds the Troy budget, but that's readily available at the public library or clerk's office. Even more mysterious, none of the locks were broken.
It could be somebody who worked here previously. Perhaps one of the downstairs doors was not closed properly, and they just simply had a key to get in. It's just kind of hard to tell. Certainly, if it is somebody that works here, we would take that very seriously.
The front door, as well as a stairwell, were locked over the weekend. The mayor says he immediately changed those locks, and he has been talking to staff about better security. The police are investigating this case, and even though Troy has certainly seen his share of tax problems and financial problems, the mayor says he doesn't think it's a disgruntled taxpayer who was in the office because, Chris, that again would raise the question of how did they get in? There were 3 doors to get through, and it looks like it was someone who had a key.
Is there private information in that computer, say personnel records?
They told me that the Troy budget was in there, as well as other documentation that the controller representative needs when he goes over the budget, but they said there's no private information, that everything that's in there is readily accessible to the public.
Thanks very much. Carmen Dexter reporting live. Ed?
A teenager struck down by the so-called flesh-eating disease is celebrating her remarkable recovery tonight. Doctors say 17-year-old Cindy Waters was just hours from death when she checked into the hospital. Cindy was infected by a bacteria that destroyed tissue in her body at an alarming rate. Doctors say a combination of good health, aggressive treatment, and good luck pulled Cindy through.
It's being called a breakthrough for health care legislation. Lawmakers have reached an agreement tonight that may make insurance available to millions of Americans. The measure is aimed at assuring workers that they won't lose coverage when they switch jobs. It could be on the president's desk by the end of the week.
Federal agents are searching the apartment and car of bombing suspect Richard Jewell. The security guard waited on a staircase outside his apartment as the search took place today. His attorney now admits that his client is considered a suspect, but he maintains Jewell is innocent.
No, and I don't think they're going to either. And frankly, we welcome this because then this thing is going to be over. That's what we're looking forward to.
Federal agents removed at least 1 box of evidence from Jewell's apartment and towed away his truck. An FBI spokesperson, though, careful to say that no one has yet been charged.
A happy ending for a Business Express plane that was forced to make an emergency landing today. The plane landed at the Albany County Airport with just 1 engine running. It was on its way from Burlington to New York's LaGuardia Airport. A warning light alerted the crew to the engine problem, and they decided to shut down the engine. No one was injured in the emergency landing.
It's going to start to feel a lot more like summer. Bob will have his first morning forecast right after a short break.
Plus, why the New York Giants left their training camp tonight. It's all coming up next.
This Olympic update on News Channel 13 is sponsored in part by Price Chopper Supermarket.
When news breaks
in your town,
News Channel 13 is there live.
Whether you live in the heart of the capital region
or any one of the
14 counties we serve
in 3 states,
we're committed
to covering the news in your town.
With live satellite reports
from anywhere in the Northeast.
We're there live, anywhere.
Local coverage of the stories that matter to you.
Late breaking news you need.
From Pittsfield
to Scotia.
All over the area.
It's live, local, late breaking.
Only on News Channel 13.
The weather now for all over the area, as Mac would say.
He's all over the area. Well, we're going to talk about all over the area by zooming in on our Doppler radar, show you who's getting wet right now and who may get wet over the next couple of hours. Scattered light showers in Saratoga County, Schenectady County, also in Schoharie County, and some heavier showers in Fulton County on west into Otsego County. So a few areas will get wet, especially as those showers move off to the east at about 15 miles an hour. And for tonight, cloudy with scattered showers, perhaps a thunderstorm, 60 to 65. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, some breaks of sun. Still the risk of a shower or a storm. Below normal temperatures, again, 70 to 75. As you see in our extended 4-day first warning forecast, it warms up to the 80s over the weekend, maybe 90 by early next week. Ed and Chris.
Okay, thanks, Bob. The New York Giants traveled from their college dormitories to a mansion tonight. The football team met with Governor Pataki at the Executive Mansion earlier this evening. The governor, you'll be glad to know, will not have to make room for a Giant sleepover. Coach Reeves wants the team back in their dorm rooms tonight.
It's time now to send you back to Atlanta and to the Olympics.
We'll be back, though, with a full report on local and national news when NBC's Olympic coverage wraps up. That's theoretically at midnight, but it's been a few minutes after every single night. Join us then.
Good night.
This is the Capital Region's #1 late news. News Channel 13, live Olympic edition.
Tonight's top story, questions about a break-in at Troy City Hall. Who was tampering with the controller's computer and why? Good evening, I'm Ed Dag.
And I'm Chris Compostaci. Nothing was taken from the office on the 3rd floor of City Hall, but the fact that someone got in there over the weekend is troubling. Carmen live outside City Hall with more. Carmen?
Chris, as you can see, City Hall is locked up tight at night and also on the weekends, as are several of the doors inside. That makes the mysterious break-in even more mysterious. This 3rd floor office at Troy's City Hall is neat as a pin, but somebody apparently thinks it holds a secret.
Someone came in and attempted to access the computer and display some papers.
The break-in was discovered by the man who works here. The computer was on. There was an unsuccessful attempt at the password, and the machine had locked up. The whole thing has Troy Mayor Mark Pattison perplexed.
It's unlikely that there's anything here that I can imagine anybody really would want, and a little concerned because, you know, we think the issue of security for any of our people that are in this building, whether they work for us or not, is, you know, an important issue.
The computer holds the Troy budget and other financial documentation necessary for a representative of the state controller's office to do his job.
Oh, there's nothing secret. This is a working computer. One of our staffers works here and does analysis of the Troy budget, and that's all that's in there.
And with no sign of forced entry, the mayor says it could be an inside job or someone who had a key before he took office.
The locks have been changed. Did that immediately to, you know, proper step, and we'll take any other security measures that we think are necessary.
Now, the mayor does not think that it was a disgruntled taxpayer. Troy has had its tax problems, but Chris, that would again raise the question of how would someone with no access to this building get in? So there are 3 doors to get through to get to the 3rd floor. It looks like someone probably had a key.
Who, if anyone, is doing an investigation now, Carmen?
The Troy Police Department is doing the investigation, and the mayor says he has also alerted the staff in City Hall to more security measures that need to be taken.
Thanks a lot, Carmen. Wednesday was the day for Troy's taxpayers to pay up. The city's 21% mid-year tax hike is due. The controversial tax increase sparked shouting matches at council meetings and a march on City Hall. But today, the taxpayers stood quietly in line to pay, even though many didn't like it.
The bonding attorneys who approved the bonding for the City Hall and other things knew full well that the revenue stream wasn't there, and they really belong in prison for incompetence.
Taxpayers who missed today's deadline face a 1.5% interest penalty for each month the payment is late. The city expects to collect about $2.5 million.
Schenectady strip clubs are taking on City Hall in a First Amendment fight. Bill Lambdin live at the Toy Box tonight with word of a federal lawsuit filed this afternoon. Bill.
Ed, Schenectady officials started raiding city strip clubs shortly after Mayor Al Jasinski took office in January. 2 of the 4 clubs have since gone out of business, but the other 2 are seeking $16 million in federal court. Michelle Stevens has danced in dozens of cities. Schenectady is the only one that busted her.
It was a huge rumble. Someone broke in the door, and it was really kind of shocking.
A lawsuit filed Wednesday in federal court charges Schenectady officials entered the Toy Box and Goldfinger several times without consent and without warrants, making arrests on nudity charges, issuing citations for code and zoning violations. The lawsuit says the play Angels in America at Proctor's included male frontal nudity, no problem, but female frontal nudity at the strip clubs brings multiple raids. Attorney Dave Brickman.
We believe that the laws that he's trying to enforce are unconstitutional.
Toy Box owner Jim Segru has been arrested 3 times by the city. He insists he's not going to give up, and he's not going to go out of business.
Mayor Jasinski may not like a lot of other things also. What's to say that after he gets done with us, he goes after the gay bars, he goes after the biker bars, he goes after whatever.
Of course, we went after Mayor Jasinski for an interview, and at first he agreed, but then called back and canceled on the advice of an attorney. But I have interviewed the mayor about this very topic after previous raids, and he told me then that he really didn't think the strip clubs provided the family atmosphere they wanted in Schenectady, and he'd prefer them to just leave. So I don't think his position is very mysterious on this issue. Ed?
No, but there's a question of whether or not he can justify it constitutionally.
The city has already filed a brief on the subject, and they have found what they think is supporting law, but most of the cases that we are familiar with indicate that there's a wide latitude granted toward freedom of expression, including nude dancing.
I wonder how they came up with the $16 million figure. It seems almost random.
Well, a lot of these lawsuits do sort of pick a jackpot number and then hope for something, but you never know. And if it goes to a jury, juries can sometimes do some pretty amazing things.
A little like the lottery.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bill Lambdin live in Schenectady. Rescue crews were at the ready today when a Business Express flight came into the Albany County Airport, just one engine working. You will see that propeller that was not turning as the plane came in about 12:30. 16 people on board on their way from Burlington to LaGuardia. Everyone was okay. Albany, 2 arrests in a murder case we told you about just yesterday, and Kelly Lynch has the latest on that from the News Channel 13 Operations Center. Kelly.
And 26-year-old Alan Johnson of the Bronx and 17-year-old James McDaniels of Albany are charged with second-degree murder. The 2 are charged with killing 33-year-old Anthony Ingoldsby. Ingoldsby's body was found yesterday morning in his basement apartment on Elberon Place. Police aren't saying why he was killed. Johnson and McDaniels will be arraigned in the morning. And that's the latest from the Operations Center.
Thank you, Kelly. Reporters met this afternoon with a local teenager who is being described as a medical miracle. Doctors say 17-year-old Cynthia Waters was near death in May when she was admitted to Ellis Hospital. She underwent a series of surgeries to fight what has become known as flesh-eating bacteria. Now she may soon be going home.
Her dad said that she was going to make it.
I never thought she was going to die. I always said, I told them all, I'm taking her home. All the way through the whole thing, I said it. There I am.
The doctors at Ellis Hospital say Cynthia is the 5th patient they've treated for flesh-eating disease. She is the only one to survive.
Oh, lucky girl. We're all going to be lucky this weekend, I guess. Bob Kovachick, with our first morning forecast, you haven't changed it.
No, it looks pretty good, Ed. We're going to see a warm-up, perhaps well into the 80s over the weekend, and the sunshine comes back. Short-term forecast tomorrow, though, the first day of August, another pretty gray day. A bit of rain, but not a soaker. 5:47 a.m. Cloudy skies early tomorrow morning, 63. Mid-70s. Much of the day will average out cloudy with perhaps some breaks of afternoon sun, but much better weather news Friday and into the weekend. We'll have that in a few minutes. Ed and Chris.
Thanks, Bob. The FBI spent the day searching Richard Jewell's apartment. We're going to go live to Atlanta after a break for the latest on the investigation there.
And then we'll go to Rodger in Olympic Central for results. We'll also find out what the football giants were doing at the governor's mansion tonight.
Live, local, late breaking with Ed Degg and Chris Kapastashi. This is News Channel 13. Live at 11.
News Channel 13 is sponsored in part by your Upstate Ford dealers and by Marine Midland Bank.
The FBI spent the day searching the apartment of Olympic bombing suspect Richard Jewell. Rich Funke is covering the story for us, and he joins us live from Atlanta with more. Rich?
Chris, in fact, federal officials and forensic teams spent 9 hours at Richard Jewell's apartment earlier today, but now they have packed up and headed home. Federal agents began combing Richard Jewell's apartment for possible evidence that might tie him to Saturday morning's Centennial Park bombing. Investigators packed evidence vans with several boxes and bags of unidentified material collected at Jewell's apartment. Agents plan to test that confiscated material for residue of the smokeless gunpowder that was used in the pipe bomb. Jewell's friends don't believe he planted that bomb.
Never believe it until I hear Richard Jewell say I did it, because that's beyond me.
Jewell has denied any involvement in the bombing, and his attorney says they welcome the search because they believe it will help clear Jewell of suspicion. Meanwhile, some victims of the Centennial Park blast spoke out at a press conference today.
Do you lose your sense of security about situations like that at all?
I don't think I lose my sense of security, but I mean, when anything happens, when you get hurt in any instance, you're kind of reluctant to kind of put yourself back in that kind of instance again. I don't think I'll be going back to the park, at least not during the Olympics, because I'm still kind of worried about it. But as far as going to other public places, I'm not too worried about that.
Well, there were broadcast reports earlier tonight, as you know, that indicated that police believe that he did not make the 911 telephone call, that they had evidence of that right now. However, the FBI has made no confirmation of that. Incidentally, Chris, one police officer remains at Jewell's apartment tonight. Asked about that, he said they deemed it necessary because of the 100 reporters ready to talk to Mr. Jewell. But still, no arrest, and the investigation continues. Rich Funke, News Channel 13 in Atlanta. Chris?
Rich, as you're out and about, do you get a sense that the city is back to normal, that at least the spectators have put this behind them and are enjoying the Olympics?
Oh, very much so. In the last couple of days, there's been a tremendous difference. There are more people on the streets. The vendors are back. Business is good. There is little talk about the bomber right now, and I think that's good.
Thanks very much, Rich, reporting from Atlanta. A lot of other things going on in Atlanta, and for that, we go to Rodger.
Live from Olympic Central, this is News Channel 13's Olympic Update with Rodger Wyland.
And once again, good morning, folks. Welcome to Olympic Central, day 13 of the Olympic Games, and really quite a storyline on the wrestling match. The American grapplers hauled in 3 medals in today's competition. Kendall Gross won the gold in the 125.5-pound class, outscoring his Canadian opponent 5 points to 3. But Kurt Angle here was the story on a referee's decision in dramatic fashion, taking the gold in the 220-pound class, and Townsend Saunders won the silver at 149.5. It was not nearly as good a night on the track and field. The favorite, Gail Devers, finished 4th. Her chief rival, Ludmilla Enquist of Sweden, won the gold as Devers got out of the blocks badly and then faded over the last part of the race. Devers, though, had already won a gold in the 100-meter dash. The United States captured silver and bronze in the women's 400-meter hurdles. Kim Batten got the silver and Tanya Buford-Bailey the bronze. Well, as you know, the debate over whether Carl Lewis should be added to the USA relay team intensified today. A Houston congressman now has started a petition drive to get Lewis on the team. Lewis wants to be in the relay race so he can compete for a record 10th gold medal. All right, meanwhile, the U.S. women's basketball team advancing to the semifinal round. They roll it up on Japan 108-93, and it was Lisa Leslie who led all scorers with 35 there. Meanwhile, American Dan O'Brien leads the decathlon competition after the first 3 events. He is the 3-time world decathlon champion. Tomas Vorek of the Czech Republic is 2nd, and American Chris Huffins is 3rd. In the pool tonight, diving, springboard diving finals. China won the gold, Russia the silver. and Canada the bronze. Americans Melissa Moses and Jenny Kem were shut out. The last time the United States won a medal in this event was 1988. Here's the medal count now as it stands. 72 for the USA, Russia 45, followed by Germany, China, and Australia. That'll do it for now. We'll come back a little bit more and have the rest of the day in sport.
Thank you, Roger. President Clinton is promising to sign a bill that will change welfare as we know it.
The House overwhelmingly passed the reform bill this afternoon. It gives the states more authority to run their own welfare programs. Benefits would be limited to 5 years per family, and able-bodied recipients would have to work within 2 years. Governor Pataki says he has some concerns about the bill. He thinks some provisions may end up costing New York hundreds of millions of dollars in lost aid.
Rough weather hampered the search for victims today off Long Island. A few more bodies from the wreckage of TWA Flight 800 were found. An official with the National Transportation Safety Board warned families that they may not find every victim. There's no new information on the cause of that crash.
We do, though, have some new information on the weather coming up.
We may just get away with another nice weekend, believe it or not. Bob will have a warning forecast coming up next.
Coming up, News Channel 13 First Warning Weather with meteorologist Bob Kovachick.
The weather for Thursday, and I'll tell you a secret. Chris and I spent, 5 minutes tonight trying to figure out
what day it is.
Well, it's been a long week and a half, but, you know, we're getting a little bit tired. But anyway, let's talk about it.
Today's Thursday.
Today is Thursday, a brand new month. Happy August, everyone. Yesterday, Wednesday, July 31st, 69. That's the best we could do for the high. 63 the low, way below, as you might expect, our normals of 64, 84 and 60. Only 0.03 of an inch of rain in Albany, but some heavier amounts up north. 98 the record high and 40 the record low. Cloudy now and holding at 65 with a south wind. Humidity 85, barometer falling. Again, some areas of fog. We've had reports of some areas of dense fog further north of the Capital District. Low 60s in the area right now from Saratoga Springs to Schenectady. Mostly cloudy skies. It is raining in parts of the Mohawk Valley. Rain reported around the Gloversville area over the past hour or so. We'll check Doppler radar in a moment. And the current temperatures, again, a cool, clammy night, gray night with lots of clouds and scattered areas of rain. 63 in Glens Falls, generally in the 60s in the Hudson Valley. We'll finally see a change in the weather pattern. First, the radar, we flip it back and put it into motion, go back to about 12 hours ago. One wave of rain passing to our north. A pretty good band of showers and storms here coming into the Mohawk Valley. We'll zoom in on those in a moment. And another area of rain passing to our south across Pennsylvania and the New York City metropolitan area, destined to head across southern New England during the overnight hours. So again, not a lot of rain here, but there'll be some scattered areas of showers around the viewing area during the early morning hours. Let us talk about Doppler radar. We'll zoom into the local picture and show you what's happening. We can see some showers and storms east of us in the Berkshires, and also some showers and storms coming in from the west, right on in through Otsego County, through Cooperstown, heading on into western Montgomery, western Fulton County, and those showers and storms heading to the east.